Hello lovelies and welcome back, and if you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so excited that you're here. As we are moving into 2026 and we are getting into the wintry months and into January, we are definitely looking at more seasonal makeup, and that is no exception with today's video as I show you how to create this frosty inspired look using the Gourmande Girls Frozen Kiss palette. This is such a beautiful palette. It is perfect for this time of year, and the color story inside is absolutely stunning. This is my first time using a product from Gourmande Girls, so I'm really excited to try out their formula and share some of my first impressions with you. This was a Christmas gift for me this year, and I'm really excited just to dive in. So come along with me and let's make up the rules. Packaging on this palette is absolutely stunning. It is so beautiful. It is perfect just for January and winter time. It is so beautiful. I love just the shape and the size of this palette. It does come in an outer package, and then we'll go ahead and take the palette itself out. It does have a protective plastic sleeve in here, so I'll go ahead and take that out as well. And then this is our color story. It is so stunning. All of these colors are so beautiful. I love that it is very rich and very vibrant, but also the colors are very muted at the same time. It is really pretty for winter, just when everything is just kind of cold and changing. It is really, really pretty. I love some of these shimmers in here, particularly the snow globe shade. It is really beautiful. It's got just kind of a marbled effect to it. In the pan, all of these shimmers are so beautiful and so shimmery and shiny that I'm really excited to go ahead and take some swatches and see how these perform on the skin. This is such a beautiful color story. All of the shadows in here swatch so beautifully. The mattes in here are all so rich and so pigmented. It doesn't take a lot of product to start building up some color, but as I was doing the swatches, I recognized that they were all very buildable. You were able to really get a lot of color and a lot of pigment just as you continue to apply. All of the shades in here are so beautiful, and you can definitely tell that this is a very cohesive color story. All of these colors go together really well. There's a lot of kind of blue and green undertones and then purple undertones, so everything is really pretty. The Frosted Kiss shade shocked me just a little bit. In the pan, it looks a little bit more on the coral side, but when I swatched it, it was more of a light pink, so I thought that was really nice just to give you that kind of snowy look. So I think a pink is really, really pretty in here. The Ice Crystal shade and the Bouquet shade were pretty similar. They were both very shimmery, very shiny, very silvery, very, very pretty. The Snow Globe shade was beautiful. It kind of comes out with a little bit of sort of a silver metallic look once you've kind of got that marbled shade and you mix all of those colors together. So this is a beautiful palette. Blue Star, that was one of the darker shimmers. That one looks a little more kind of like a deep purple in the pan, but it is a very bright and vibrant blue shimmer when you swatch it, so I thought that was really pretty. And then Solstice is the darkest shade in the palette. It looks almost black in the pan, but when I swatched it, it came across almost like a very, very dark purple. So I think that's going to look really pretty to deepen up some of these purple shades that are in the palette. So I was really pleasantly surprised with just how pigmented all of these shades are. Like I mentioned before, they look a little bit muted in the pan, but they are definitely not muted when you swatch them on the arm. So I'm really excited to go ahead and jump into our tutorial and go ahead and play with some of these shades. I went ahead and primed my eyes with my Ulta Beauty Pigment Pop Eye Primer, so we are ready to go with our eyeshadows. I am going to go in with an Ulta Beauty Collection, just fluffy shadow brush, and I'm going to do a really purple look today, so I'm going to go ahead and start out with this beautiful deep purple right here. This one is called Cold Snap, and I'm just going to pick some of this up on my brush, tap off a little bit of the excess, and I'm going to apply this in the outer corner. Just start to get a really nice deep purple outer corner, and just kind of tapping this in with my brush, placing the pigment where I want it. This is such a beautiful shade. It is so deep, So rich and purple and pigmented. Absolutely gorgeous on the eyes. I'm going to really build up the pigment in this outer corner here and really just create a nice deep look. That is absolutely stunning. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other eye. I absolutely love how that looks. It is such a purely purple shade. It is so, so pretty. Now I do want to go ahead and start deepening up that outer corner. So I'm going to go in with this shade over here. It is just a little bit of a deeper purple shade. This one is called Frostbite. And just using that same brush, picking some up and just tapping off the excess, I'm going to go ahead and just deepen up this outer corner. So mostly just here on my lid, just deepening up and starting to really build up some of that pigment. That is so beautiful and so rich. Those blend together very, very easily and seamlessly and look really, really pretty together. So I'm not putting a lot of this one on, just using a little bit just to deepen up that outer corner. That is so stunning. Now I do want to deepen it up just a little bit more. So I'm going to go in with this deepest shade in the whole palette. This one is called Solstice. And again, just picking up a little bit on my brush, tapping off any excess, and then just continuing to layer these shades together and just deepen up the outer corner. It is such a beautiful shade. Like I said during the swatches, it looks black in the pan, but it does come across more as a very, very deep purple, so it really blends in very, very nicely with those other two shades. That is so beautiful. I absolutely love how deep and dark and just dramatic that looks. I am going to go back into that lighter purple shade, that Cold Snap, and just going to pick up a little bit more on my brush and just make sure that I don't lose this really pretty lighter pigment. So just kind of blending this right back over top all of these shades. That is so, so beautiful. I love how this looks. I went ahead and cleaned off my brush, and then I do want to go in with some lighter purples as we are moving towards the inner corner across the crease. So I think for the next shade, I'm going to go ahead and go into this lightest purple shade down here. This one is called Winter Romance, and just going ahead back with that fluffy blending brush and picking up a little bit of this on my brush, tapping off the excess. I'm just going to go ahead and pull this all the way across my crease and just meeting where all of these darker shades are in the outer corner, just creating a nice light look across the inner part of the crease. That is such a beautiful shade. It's swatched very light, so I'm very happy to see that as I'm applying it on the eye, it definitely has a little bit more darkness and a little more pigment to it. It is such a beautiful, just light kind of pastel purple, and I really like that there is just a lot of range in the shades in this palette. It definitely goes from very light to very dark, so you can really create some very light looks, very dark looks, or some just kind of dramatic shifts throughout your eyeshadow look. That is absolutely stunning. I love how all of these purples are blending together. And the last shade I'm going to use for a matte on the top is going to be this one right here. It's kind of a medium purple shade, and this one is called Thaw Out. I'm going to just use that same brush, just pick up a little bit of product on my brush, and I'm just going to mostly focus this on the center of the crease, just right here where there's a transition, and just kind of blend it a little bit into that Winter Romance shade, just to create a little bit more of a transition. That is so, so pretty. You can definitely see it just provides a little extra just transition across the crease and just kind of connects all of these shades. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other eye. This is absolutely turning out so gorgeous. I'm so excited about this look. So now we're going to go ahead and prime our eyes and get ready for some glitter and some shimmer just to really liven up and lighten this look. I went ahead and put some of my NYX glitter primer all over my eyelids, so we are ready to go ahead and put on some shimmers. I'm going to go in with an Ulta Beauty Collection flat shadow brush, and I think for the center of my lid, I want to go in with this beautiful purple shimmer down here. This one is called Dewdrops. It is so, so pretty. So I'm just going to use that brush and just pick some of this up, and then I'm going to apply this just right here on the center of my lid. And wow, that is beautiful. That is such a beautiful shade. It was really, really pretty when I swatched it. It's got some beautiful, just light purple, a little bit of just kind of silver in there, maybe just a hint of blue. So it's definitely got a little bit of shift to it, maybe a little bit of sort of a pinkiness to it. It is very, very stunning shade. So I'm just going to kind of blend this in. I'm going to clean it up just a little with my finger as I'm meeting over into these mattes, just to make sure I don't overpower the mattes and make sure I don't have any harsh lines with my shimmers. That is absolutely gorgeous. That is such a pretty shade. I'm gonna go ahead and pop some on the other side. That is so, so pretty. I love that shimmer so much. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get a little bit lighter with the shimmer as we're moving towards the inner corner. So I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. This one is called Bouquet, and I was not familiar with that word, so I did go ahead and look it up. This one, when I looked it up online, it says Bouquet is an Italian word meaning snowdrop, referring to the white early spring flowers. So I thought that was really cool, just to have kind of a little bit of a unique word in there that definitely ties in very well with this Frozen Kiss palette. So I'm going to go ahead and use that same brush. I'm just going to flip it over and use the other side of it, dipping into that Bouquet shade, picking up a little bit on my brush. And then I'm going to apply this right here on the center part of my lid, just kind of tapping it into place and blending it where it meets that dewdrop shade, just creating a nice cohesive look together. That is such a beautiful shade. Those meet perfectly together. You can definitely see there's a little bit of purple sparkle in there, so it really matches well with this look and with the other shimmer shade that we've applied. Getting just a little bit of fallout, so I'm just going to wipe that away and then just continue to pat this in. And I'm just kind of tapping right where those two shimmers meet so that they just kind of blend easily together. That is so, so pretty. I'm going to go ahead and put some on the other side as well. That is so pretty. I love how those shimmers look together. As I was applying, I was just kind of flipping my brush back and forth and going into dewdrops and Bouquet and just going back and forth so I could make sure that I had a nice even coating of both of those shimmers across the eyelid. So I'm really, really happy with how the top is turning out. I do want to move into some other colors as we're going to the lower lash line, just to create a little more contrast in this look. So I do want to kind of tie in a little bit more with that green and minty kind of look. So I think for my first shade, I'm going to go light and then build up. So I'm going to go into this nice, beautiful minty shade here. This one was called Snowflakes, and I'm going in with a large liner brush from Ulta Beauty and just dipping into this shade just a little bit just to get some on the end of my brush, tapping off any excess. And then I'm going to line this all the way underneath my lower lash line and just start to build up some color and some pigment. It is definitely very pigmented. It's a lot like that light purple, that Winter Romance. It looks very, very light in the pan, but definitely it packs a punch as you start to apply it on the skin, and it really has some beautiful pigment to it. So I'm just applying this one all the way across my lower lash line, really just starting to build up a nice, beautiful, minty green look across the lower lash line. That is such a beautiful shade. I absolutely love that. Now we're going to go ahead and deepen up a little bit more and go in with this nice, beautiful green shade here. This one is called Winter Green. I absolutely love that name. So I'm going to use that same brush, just picking up a little bit on the end of it. And then I'm just going to go right over that Snowflakes shade and just start deepening up the lower lash line, creating a little bit more of a deep green here. These shadows blend together so beautifully. They're nice and pigmented. It does not take a lot of product, but it definitely helps to just continue to pick up and layer more. They're very buildable and they go together very, very seamlessly and easily. So it's definitely a really good beginner blending kind of palette. I am loving this nice deep green look. I do want to deepen up just the outer part of the lower lash line just a little bit more. So I'm going to go in with this beautiful blue shade right here. This one is called Winter Tide. And using that same brush, just picking up just a little bit. And I'm not going to apply this very much on the lower lash line. I definitely want it to be more green than blue. But I just want a little more depth right here on this outer corner. So I'm just going to blend this in just a little bit and just very gently just kind of using a swiping motion to just sort of blend that in. That's really, really pretty. It blends in beautifully with those green shades. That is so pretty. That is just a little more blue than I want it to be. So I think I'm going to deepen it up just a little bit more with that dark solstice shade and just give it a little more depth and just kind of take the blue out of it, make it a little bit more purple. So I'm just going to pick a little bit up on my brush and just kind of blend that right over top that blue shade. And I'm not using a lot. I don't want to overpower anything or make it too dark. I just want to deepen up the outer corner just a little bit, making sure that I pull up into my outer corner on the top just so everything is nice and blended together, and just using soft back and forth motions. That is really, really pretty. It is so deep and so rich and pigmented. I absolutely love that. I do want to kind of soften up the outer corners just a little bit, or the outer edges just a little bit. So I'm going to go back in with that fluffy blending brush, and I'm going to go in with that nice light pink shade. That one was called Frosted Kiss. It is such a beautiful little light shade in here. So I'm going to use just my fluffy blending brush and pick up just a little bit of pigment on the end of my brush. And I'm going to just go ahead and kind of just go around all the edges of my shadow that I've applied. So I'm going to just start here on this outer corner and just kind of blend up along the edges just to give it a nice softness and just a little bit more pigment to this look. And I think going around the purple and around the blues and greens is really going to help tie everything together. So just very softly, very gently, I'm just holding my brush at the very end and just using a really light hand, just softly going around the edges. That is so pretty. It adds just a little bit more softness to the edges. I'm really happy with how that looked. I think just to finish out this look, I want to add a little bit of an inner corner highlight and a little bit of a brow bone highlight. So I'm going to go in with just a detailing brush from Real Techniques, and I'm going to go into this first shade in the palette. This one is so pretty. It's got a little bit of a shift to it, a little bit of a marbled effect, and this one is called Ice Crystals. So I'm just going to pick a little bit of this up on my detail brush and just going to go ahead and pop this in the inner corner. I'm going to give it a little bit of setting spray just to help to make sure that pigment really pops, and then just going to go ahead and put it right here. It's so light and so pretty. It's kind of got almost a little bit of yellow in there, kind of gives it almost like a just sunlight hitting the snow kind of look. It is really, really pretty. I'm just going to tap this into my inner corner, and then whatever excess I have on my brush, I'm going to just pop into the brow bone. I am so happy with this beautiful look. I think it has turned out just completely stunning, and I think the details are going to add so much just to really pull it all together and just really make this just a beautiful, stunning look. So I'm going to go ahead and step off camera. I'm going to add some liner and some mascara, and then I'll be back and we'll take a look at the final look. And here is the final look. I am so happy with how this turned out. I think it is so, so pretty. The purple is absolutely stunning. The mint on the bottom provides just an extra little punch of color. So I just absolutely am so happy with this. For my liner, I went in with just a soft little cat eye or soft wing, and I used my Wet n Wild Breakup Proof Waterproof Eyeliner. This is in Ultra Black. I tight lined on the top with my Ulta Beauty Collection Automatic Eyeliner. This is in Matte Black. And then for my lower waterline, I really wanted to pull on that mint shade, so I went in with my Ulta Beauty Collection Color Punch Automatic Eyeliner. This was in the shade Majestic Mint. And then for my mascara, I went in with my Tarte Maneater Waterproof Mascara. So I'm so happy with this. I think it is absolutely beautiful. So let's take a closer look at this final look, and then I'll be back and I'll share just some of my first impressions of this palette. I really enjoyed using the Gourmande Girls Frozen Kiss palette. This is such a beautiful wintry palette. It's absolutely stunning on the packaging, and then I love just that this carton is just very lightweight, easy to use, easy to transport. I love that there is a mirror in here, and then this color story is so beautiful. I think this is just such a special, unique kind of color story. All of the shades in here, as I mentioned before, are so light and kind of muted, but they are very rich and very pigmented at the same time, and I think that's really cool and very unique. All of the shades in here go together so nicely. This is such a well thought out color story. The blues, purples, green, all of them tie into all of the shifts in the shimmers, all of the different multi-chromes that are in here in duochrome. The snow globe shade definitely captures the essence of all of the shades in here. The purple, pink, yellows, blues, all of that is perfectly captured in these shimmers. I thought that the mattes were very buttery to the touch. They were really nice to use, and they were definitely very buildable and very blendable. All of the shades just melted into one another as I applied them on the skin, so that was really nice. There were definitely some unexpected shades in here, like Frosted Kiss came out a little bit more pink on the skin, and Solstice came out a little bit more purple, so there's definitely just a little bit of an unexpectedness to this palette and to how some of the shades apply. I really enjoyed using this Dewdrop shade all over the lid and this Bouquet shade as well. They are absolutely beautiful. They were so light, so shimmery. They blended together very beautifully. So I really enjoyed using every shade that I used in here. I think we used most of them in the look today, and they were just so easy to use, so easy to work with. So I definitely really enjoyed using the Frozen Kiss palette, and this was definitely a great introduction to Gourmande Girls. I really appreciate you hanging out with me today and taking a look at the Gourmande Girls Frozen Kiss palette. I really enjoyed creating this beautiful frosty inspired look, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. I would love to hear from you in the comments below what your thoughts are about this look, if you picked up the Frozen Kiss palette, and what are your thoughts about it as well. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It really helps out my channel so much. And if you would like to see more makeup tutorials and first impressions, then please subscribe to my channel. Until next time, let's be kind to each other, beautiful to ourselves, and never afraid to make up the rules.